So, Jenny, we met, was it 3 years ago now?
I believe something like that.
I think so, on my 100% project, which you willingly volunteered to do.
Yep.
I found you because I was looking for people from different sporting backgrounds who put 100% into what they're doing. So hence the project, 100%.
Yeah.
All started with Stephen Miller, Paralympic thrower. And the title came from him because he just exerted himself one day doing his high intensity training, and the target came up 100%. And I thought that's a perfect title.
Yeah.
And then I was searching for people in the area, local people, because you see them everywhere in the country, but who are the local people who kind of, who are the best at what they do? And then I found yourself. And you said yes to the project, and that's kind of it, really. It's sort of, we had a good 3-day shoot. We filmed you pulling a truck. We filmed you doing all sorts of stuff. One of the best things I found was I love your Iron Maiden T-shirt with the ripped off sleeves. So yeah, and the good thing about your gym is fantastic. It's Spartan
Performance.
Performance, and Spartan Performance is probably one of the best laid out gyms that I've ever seen.
We know.
Hands down, yeah. I mean, you guys do seminars, you do all sorts of stuff, and I think it's just inspiring as well, because I see it. I see Jack on there. I see yourself on there. There's Donna Moore, Britain's strongest woman. Is that right?
2 times world's strongest woman now.
2 times world's strongest woman. I mean, and you train Donna Moore.
In a fashion. Yeah. Me and Jack both do.
Okay.
So it's a team effort.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, what's your relationship like with Donna as well? How long have you known Donna?
I've known her for a while. First met her, was it 2014, Britain's Strongest Woman. I didn't speak to her too much then, but we got to know each other the following year. We were both competing, or we were both invited to Europe's Most Powerful in the July 2015. In Scotland, it was on the west coast, kind of in the middle of nowhere. So we knew that we'd have to stay there the night before. We spoke to each other and came up with an accommodation share and got to know each other quite well there. And we've been really close friends ever since.
Because it looks like you're kind of real sort of best friends, but your trainer. That's sort of what I see, especially on Instagram. Your Instagram's like Traps Like Todd, which is one of the best Instagram handles.
I used to be Traps Like Todd.
You used to be Traps Like Todd. All right, good. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, and then yourself as well. Was it 2 years ago that you went to the Arnold Classics? Can you tell us a little bit more, obviously, about that?
Yeah, March 2017. That was qualified to compete there from England's Strongest Woman, I believe, in 2016. I got the invite. It was an unbelievable experience. Never been anywhere like that in my life. I've not been to Body Power Expo in Birmingham, which is always, it used to be appealing to me, but since I've been there, I know it's not going to be anywhere close to the same. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger's walking around all over the place, followed by his entourage and his security staff and stuff. That in itself, to be there and have Arnold Schwarzenegger walk past you is out of this world. Really weird, very strange to see him.
Because both yourself and Donna went over there as well. Yeah.
Well, she went the previous year.
Yeah.
She competed there the previous year, and we both went there together and had a excellent performance, which was perfect. Because it's kind of like we're just cheering each other on and picking each other up.
You both won your categories, is that right?
Yeah, she won the heavyweights, I won the middleweights.
Yeah, I mean, to be sick, because I saw the picture on Instagram, and it's a great picture. There's 2 of you sitting on the plane, and you both got these trophies. I mean, that's got to be one of the best things ever. Especially awesome. The experience with somebody you train as well.
Absolutely,
good friend of yours. That's ticking all the boxes. I think
it wouldn't have been the same without her there.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been the same if we didn't share that together.
Yeah. It's just kind of one of those things. It's kind of the planets all align sort of thing. Do you find that? Because obviously you'll have been through a lot of these things, injuries and stuff like that. We can talk about it. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I think
Well, it
injuries
happens
injuries in
in any
sports,
sport, absolutely.
it's part and parcel of the game. And yeah, I've kind of met Zaviscus as well, and I've met a few other guys, and it's always, especially high end performance guys, and they're always working around that injury. Even girls, females,
Yeah.
males, everybody, Paralympians, and they're always working around something, and they're always working towards getting to the next thing.
Aye.
And you just hope that something doesn't go ping. You know, I mean, what's it like? Have you had any recent injuries?
I've had a couple of things. Recently, just stupid things, but I'm not competitive anymore. Or not currently anyway, but previously when I was competitive, the first thing to go was my back. My SI joint, left SI joint dislocated in my first year of competing, 2013. I'd just competed in my first competition. I was training for another one in the July. That was in February, so I had a few months to prepare for it. And Jack, I met not long after my first contest because I was told about him by somebody that was there coaching one of the other girls. And he told me I need to start squatting. He sent me a Jim Wendler's 531, which is a training template. And I followed that, got under a squat, which was maybe 50% of my 1 rep max, warming up on it really badly, never been coached on squats before, and it just popped. And I couldn't train properly for another 6 months after that. Couldn't squat, couldn't deadlift, awful.
For me, it's the injury, but it's the time out, and that to me,
it's soul destroying because you're seeing everybody else around you progress and do well and succeed, and that should have been you.
Your whole life revolves around that, and you need and the want to train every single day.
You have to put it on hold.
Yeah,
it's on hold until you're rehabilitated, if you can manage to get to that point. And
so obviously you would work around that kind of thing, wouldn't you? You would kind of do sort of different, would you do different routines and things like that? Because I hear all the time, I mean, I go to the gym, you hear people, I've got a bad leg so I can't go to the gym. You're like, well, you've got 2 arms.
It's not an excuse, I'm afraid. There's always something else that you can do. You absolutely, if you've hurt one leg, you've got another one. If you've hurt your shoulder, you've got another shoulder. You know, it might mean that you're not able to train every limb and every body part, but there's ways and means around it. I mean, you've spoken to and you've worked with disabled athletes. How do they manage to do it? They don't moan about it, and they don't have the same capabilities as everybody else does, but they still manage and they still do very, very, very well with it. It's a mindset. People are very. It's human nature, isn't it? The negativity that comes with something that's put an obstacle in your path. Some people either steer around the obstacle, they try and climb over it, or they just stop dead in their tracks, and that's where the excuses come from, because they see it as a wall rather than an obstacle. I
mean, have you ever been in that mental space before? Have you ever come from? I mean, what's your journey? How did you get into this? How did you get into
it's
training?
A really not interesting story, and usually a lot of strong women, female strength athletes have usually got some sort of low point in their life where they've chosen a different path, and this has kind of picked them up and changed their life. It's changed my life, absolutely, without a doubt. But I used to be a door supervisor. I worked on the doors. I had no idea how to look after myself, never touched martial arts before in my life. So my boyfriend at the time talked me into starting kickboxing. He had a kickboxing and a boxing background, so we went to a local gym. I got obsessed with it because I've got quite an addictive personality, hence doing so well in Strongwoman. Ran away with it, got talked into competing within like 6 months of actually learning how to kickbox. Awful. I'm awful at fighting. I'm not a fighter. I hate inflicting pain on people, and I really don't like receiving pain, so it was not the right sport for me. But being 5'10", that's quite a stretch for a female, and I was up against little ladies who were quite significantly lighter than me, so I had to drop quite a lot of body weight to fit into a weight category that was competitive, to even find a competitor.
Yeah.
And got really, really scrawny. Now, bear in mind, I started kickboxing to be better on the doors and be able to handle myself, but I lost all of this weight. I was a feather and people were just knocking me
walking through
flying.
you.
I was really struggling, so it kind of, I had to think of how I'd be able to continue to learn to fight, but be stronger with it and be denser. So I tried to put on some weight. I went to the gym with my then boyfriend and we lifted some weights. He's always trained in gyms from like early teens, as guys from Newcastle, I can imagine, do.
Yeah.
And just got obsessed with that. Stopped kickboxing. Got pretty good at it. Got spotted by a local strongman, and he told me to check out the sport and try and find a local competition. And that was 2 weeks before the first contest that I participated in and won.
Yeah.
And the rest was history. Now, following that, it has changed my life because it's given, for a very non-confident individual, I had very low self-esteem, no real voice, no real identity. It suddenly gave me an identity because I was that skinny girl from Hartlepool that came out of nowhere and stole the show in the middleweights. I realised very quickly how much I could actually do if I put my mind to it, and it's not just a physical strength that it gives you, or it's given me. It's given me a strength and a purpose in life. I come across a lot more confident than if we were to have this conversation maybe 6 years ago.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the same. You wouldn't have got an awful lot from me.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
obviously, cool. I'm guessing it's taken a while to kind of get to where you are now. Obviously, mentally kind of getting to that point where you can just go, you can walk in a room, head held high, you know who you are.
Absolutely.
Kind of found who you are. You're comfortable in yourself.
Yeah.
Is that right? So, I mean, how long has that taken to kind of get to that point? Because I know everyone suffers with it. I don't know whether it's an OCD thing. I'm very much the same myself. You're obsessive. You overthink things. You kind of like, should I, shouldn't I? All this sort of stuff. And it just takes that time to get over that.
Absolutely.
Stop overthinking it. Who cares what anyone else thinks, which is really what
it's always
going
to
to
it's always going to remain. I always think like that still, but I've kind of learned to tell myself to shut up a
push
little bit.
Push it down a little bit. Yeah. So your confident voice kind of overtakes that.
Aye.
Yeah. So you're more like 70-30 or whatever it is. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, you'll train various different people in the gym, and have you found a change in other people who you train as well? Like getting people on board, or is it just do you find you can kind of
confidence
have an effect?
Is contagious, don't you think? So I do believe that I'm better in my job anyway, because with practice and with experience, it just becomes easier. You learn more and you develop your skill as a coach. But the skill is more communication and figuring out the right way to speak to certain individuals. You know, I've got very different approaches with young people as I do with adults, men versus women, and then you get to know people a little bit better, and there's like a personal touch to it. It's kind of like a counselling session, you know. If you go to see a counsellor, they'll speak to you in a completely different way to how they might speak to me, because you're going to react their job is to find the right way to communicate with you to get a result. And that's very much the same, which is really difficult to do, or at least it was in the beginning. I
think, because it's kind of almost been, you've got to be a bit of a chameleon, and you've got to change your personality to whoever you're in front of. I do the same. I meet different people every single day, and you've got to approach people in a different way.
Absolutely.
And you've got to figure them out within 3 minutes of meeting them, or even 2 minutes of meeting them. And it is a kind of vibe thing, you know. Obviously, you drop a few, because I know you've got a great sense of humour as well. Obviously, you can tell by your Instagram as well. So, no, that's great. It's kind of, I love seeing the cats on there, and obviously, you're lifting weights, you know.
Yeah.
So and it's kind of that, and it's that approach, and what what can they handle, what can't they handle, what do you deliver, what can you pull back on, what do you have to pull back on.
The awkward moment, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. But you're confident now to go, just, yeah, that's fine. All right. You can get yourself out of that if you put your foot in it, kind of thing.
Aye.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I want to discuss the mindset that you have when you train as well, because people just get locked in. You can see, I mean, you see Donna, if anyone can go and have a look at Donna Moore's Instagram page, she slaps her chest or thighs, and then she's going in there like a like a tantrum toddler, and then she's like picks her weight up, and then but she describes it and she has fun with it, and she knows what she looks like. She doesn't care what anybody thinks, because she needs to do that to get to the next stage, to lift that weight, to progress. You know, so it's all about. She knows she's going to focus and get to that point. And obviously, when we filmed yourself, you were in a space. We just stood back and we just observed mainly about what you were going to do, to let you get into your own headspace, let you get into that that mental state. So, what is it for you to get into that mental state? Is there anything you think of, any place you go to kind of get into that mental state?
It's a difficult one to answer at the moment. Entirely different from maybe my training approach when we previously met, when we worked together. I had very much a tunnel vision with the work that I had to do. I knew what weights I had to hit. I knew what reps I had to hit to succeed in whatever I was going into. Now it's more just trying to keep a focus on the task at hand. I don't have a goal to work towards. Saying that, I've got something in the works on the 19th of October that I basically signed up for a competition just to keep my head in training for a little while, because my whole purpose in the gym has been goal orientated, and now I don't have a goal, or I didn't until I booked into this contest. It's really, really difficult to find a reason to. I know I have to train today, but I really can't be asked. To actually pull your finger out and go and do it. Yeah. So I'd say at the moment, it's always been a lot easier with a set of headphones in and my own stuff going on up there. If I'm left to quiet and I can hear what's going on around me, I'm completely sidetracked. I'm easily distracted by stuff that people are talking about, who they're talking to, the music that's on in the background. I'll get irritated if I don't like what I can hear. When I was competing, it was entirely different, and I can see in Donna what I used to do, because she's a very aggressive trainer, and I can be sometimes if I can focus enough. But
it's more like levels, isn't it? Because she knows that she has to get back to that level to kind of push to that point, you know? And it is putting 100% in.
Absolutely.
Like everything you do, you got to, but you know in your head the level that you need to get to as well. But one thing when we did, capture you on film and shot the stills as well, it was Jack's got a good soundtrack. You've got a good soundtrack, and I think that really helps. And I love that kind of. It's every time you go into a gym, it's always like Euro techno kind of whatever it is, or dance or something like that.
Yeah.
Or it's the same song 15 times.
If you turn the mute off on Donna's Instagram, you can hear all sorts of shite that she's listening to. Awful.
Yeah, she can't focus, she can't concentrate.
No, but each to their own, and if that gets her going, that gets her going. Whatever gets me going is entirely different to hers.
That's it. You kind of need to get yourself locked in, you know, and the heavier the better, even for me, because, it's probably got a similar taste in music, especially with your Iron Maiden. Have you still got that T-shirt, that cut off? Is that your training T-shirt?
It's gold dust. I will never throw that out. If it falls off my back, I'll stitch it back together.
It was hanging on by a thread when we saw you, wasn't it?
It still is. I ripped a little bit more of the side of it, but that was... Yannick Gers, one of the guitarists from Iron Maiden. I used to work on a door that he regularly drinks at.
Okay.
The Black Bull in Yarm.
Yeah.
And he gave me that after he came back from, I think they were touring Mexico at the time, and he brought me that. Really? So I will never. I'll be buried with that T-shirt.
It's probably one of those things you don't want to wear.
It's
'cause
one
you
of my
don't wanna ruin
most
it, but
treasured
yeah.
items. Yeah, but I
You
wear
should-
it
yeah.
all the time.
That's the thing. I mean, what do you want to do? Frame it, put it on the wall, or do you want to wear the
Absolutely not,
thing?
no.
Yeah, it's kind of I'll stitch it up. Yeah,
It'll be fine.
yeah,
It'll
that's
survive.
cool. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I mentioned outside just when we saw each other. It's been a long time, a few years since I met you. Probably only worked together 3 times,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. There's just something when you meet somebody, you kind of go, yeah. Jenny's my kind of person. Yeah, I know.
It's
I
easy
know where
when
you
it
come from. I
works.
think it's easy when it. Yeah, especially when you're trying to do something professional, but there's still that personal thing, and we're standing back and we're just watching you doing your thing, and we're just getting gold from you every
Aye.
single time, and you're willing to
It's the
push
best
to
way to
that
do it.
next level.
You're looking to capture
Yeah,
what somebody does or who somebody is, but you can't. A photographer shouldn't dictate what they want to see on film or on picture.
no.
It should be what you capture.
No, because you hear the rock banging on. He's always saying on Instagram, like when he's got a team and he's shooting, I tell everybody to stay back. Just capture what I'm doing. Don't intervene.
Yeah.
Don't come in or do anything. And I think that's where it should be. Unless
Because
you know
it's
you got
real.
you got to feel the moment kind of
It'll
thing.
look real as
Yeah.
well, absolutely.
That's it. You just got to give people space, and then they'll come to you
Mm-hmm.
if they want to, converse, have a conversation.
Aye.
Go, right, what do you want to do now, Dan? I'm done with that. All right, should we move on? Okay, that's fine. And if you're done, you're done. That's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of it's interesting because you got to sense it without talking to somebody, and you've got to communicate without even opening your mouth
Aye.
sometimes, and you got to work around it and just kind of
Well, you did it very
baby step
well.
it.
I'm a really awkward person to do stuff like that. To take photos of me is a very awkward thing. I can't pose and smile at a photo. I feel myself just wanting to scowl
Yeah.
because I kind of do that better than a smile.
Yeah,
But both of you kind of just skirted around
Yeah.
and left me kind of in my habitat.
yeah.
Until I was used to you being there, and then you kind of came over and said, "Well, can we jump on top of the
Yeah.
squat rack and can we
yeah.
do a few things up there?" I'm like,
Yeah. You're getting
okay,
a bit
I felt
risky.
more comfortable then.
Yeah.
You did it really well.
Well, that's it.
It's like taming a lion.
But it was great. I mean, it's fantastic, and I love seeing you. I follow you on Instagram as well, and even on Saturday I saw you. You look like I was as soon as I saw you, I thought she looks like a heavy metal Venom. Do you know kind of that thing? And your hair was down, draped by the sides. You had your Vibrams on. You
Yeah.
were fully in black. You were just lifting. You were belted up. Everything was just like and it looked like you hadn't done that, and that was an achievement. Have you been out for a while? Have you ever had a problem
Yeah.
with deadlifts or?
Anybody that deadlifts has always got a problem with deadlifts. It's a love-hate relationship. I've been good at them for a while, and I've been really, really bad at them for a while. Going back to the point about not having a goal to work towards is really difficult. It's difficult to progress a deadlift. That you need focus and you need aggression. I believe that I need aggression to be able to move that particular exercise forwards in weight to progress it. And I've been missing something. So this competition coming up is a log and deadlift competition. So the maximum weight that I can lift in both, which is perfect because I enjoy training both of them, and there's no other strongman events involved that might put a spanner in the works. So my best deadlift ever was 205 kilos. That was the last contest that I was involved in. And I'm just desperate to get back to that and be able to beat it. That was an amazing achievement at the time. I mean, it was my 4th England's Strongest Woman win in a row. And then I pulled that. I just felt on top of the world. I want to do that again. It's the most weight that I've ever held in my hands. Well, it's not technically because I've done one from an 18-inch height on a very bendy bar, which is called a silver dollar deadlift, and that was, I think I topped that out at 290 kilos, but that's different. It's not from the floor. It's not with Olympic standard discs.
Was that just a training thing? Is that why you did that?
that
or was that a different lift?
That was at World's Strongest Woman 2016.
Okay.
It was just one of the events. But if you watch if you watch a video of it, you'll see it's
not
a lot
good enough,
easier because, I mean, the weight's distributed a lot further out.
Yeah.
You've got these big boxes on either side of you instead of discs,
Uh-huh.
which elevate the bar quite high. It's on a bendy bar, so when you take the slack out of the bar, it's got quite a lot to give. So you're essentially picking it a lot higher up.
Yeah.
You've not got as much range of motion to move the weight.
Yeah.
And with that bend and with those big long boxes, you're essentially peeling the weight off the floor gradually, so it's not as much of a shock to the body.
Yeah.
But with a regular deadlift from the floor on a stiff bar, it's 0 kilos to 205 kilos immediately.
Yeah.
Either you do it or you don't. And I want to be able to do that again. So Saturday was a big deal because...
Would you train that maximum, or would you never train that 1 rep max? Or would it always come down to competition?
Then it always came down to competition.
'Cause you
Because
always
I
see
would never
people-
max out in the gym.
You always see people lifting the max they can never do in competition. Like Eddie Hall did his deadlift.
That's fine
in
for him. I
competition.
mean, it's different with somebody like him. He was very driven to what he was looking to achieve, which was the 500 kilo deadlift. I know there was a few steps before then, but it was the 500 kilo deadlift that would change history. With the guys' sport, they can kind of get away with performance-enhancing drugs, and the repercussions are not as extreme as it is on the women's side of things because of the hormones that they elevate.
Yeah.
And with performance-enhancing drugs comes greater recovery. So if you're constantly maxing out in the gym and you're taking these kind of things, you're going to recover from it better, as opposed to somebody who's not. Now, lifting that maximum weight is a big hit on your central nervous system. It wipes you out completely for days, weeks on end. I think the longest I've spent sore from a workout is 12 days. 12 days I struggled to walk after a heavy squat session.
Is that just a normal session as well? Wasn't
Well,
it
it
competition?
was building up to a contest, but that's the longest I've ever remembered feeling sore.
Yeah.
Imagine having to do like a heavy deadlift
Yeah.
2 weeks after that heavy squat, and you're still feeling that rotten 2 days out from it.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
Deadlifts are very costly, so it's if you can get away with it and you're young and you're full of shit, then then go for it. Only the individual knows their capabilities of recovery.
Yeah.
I'm not that way inclined. I test it on the day. I won't test it in training. It's more of a mindset as well.
Yeah.
If I test it in training and I fail, I'm going into a competition with my head up my arse. I'd rather test it on the day where there's a good atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's an encouraging atmosphere. It gets you riled up. It gets your adrenaline pumping a lot more than you would be in the gym. It's not the same at all. There's many more kilos in a competition than there is in the gym. So I'd rather test it there.
Yeah.
Where it's going to be bigger.
Yeah. You kind of see it a lot. It's all everybody leaves it to the competition. It's the same as I think people run and then they're doing marathons, but they won't run for 2 weeks because I know trainers who will stop their guys from running for 2 weeks before the actual main run, and you don't have to run 26, 14 miles or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You'll only run like 7 or 6 or something like that, and just take it easy. Then take a break, and then you know you can do it on the day.
Yeah.
Just energy. Is it kind of a very similar thing?
Very similar. If I'm programming somebody for a contest, I will, depending on the individual, and again, going down to their individual capabilities with recovery, the final week before a contest, you want 50, 60% load or effort or volume on across the board. So training's cut right back. Although I would never say don't train the whole week building up to a contest. You need to keep the blood flow going. You need to keep awake and alert. So the body needs to feel like it's got a purpose again. I mean, I've taken a week off before a contest before, never touched a weight.
Yeah.
And I remember loading up a barbell for my ex. We used to train together quite a lot. And I picked up a 20 kilo plate. And it felt like I had 50 kilos in my hand. It was awful, and I've never done that since.
Yeah.
I've never taken the week off.
Yeah.
Because for me, it really didn't work.
Yeah.
I know it does for some people, but
Yeah.
wow, everything felt heavy that week.
Yeah.
It was awful. But same principle, like you'd cut down the miles that you would run
Yeah.
a week out. I'd cut down the training volume or the intensity.
At the minute, are you training? You training Donna
Yeah,
for her next competition?
yeah,
She's done the Worlds again.
She's programmed by me,
Uh-huh.
and she's coached on the strongman events by Jack.
Okay.
She's going to World's Strongest Woman. I believe it's the 5th of November, 4th and 5th of November.
Okay.
And
Do
that'll
you-
be in Florida.
Do you go with as well, or is
I'd
this a
love
money
to.
money and a sponsor thing?
It's a money thing, yeah. She's sponsored by SBD, and
that's the
they
apparel
fund
company, isn't it? Yeah.
They fund her travel. So that's brilliant.
Yeah.
But I don't have anybody to fund my
Yeah.
travel. I went to Arnold's with her this year
Uh-huh.
in March, kind of just for a holiday as
Yeah.
well as trying to be there for
Yeah.
her and support her and coach her. I'll be doing the same again. I won't be going to Florida because it kind of comes at a difficult time at work.
Mhm.
You know, we're a bit stuck for staffing at that point, so I won't be going to Florida. Although it would be nice. It'd be warmer than going to Columbus in March. That was
Yeah.
freezing.
Yeah.
Awful.
Obviously, that's going to make a difference as well. How do you find the summer and the winter training? Does it make a massive difference to you, to Donna, to anybody?
Yeah. It depends on the venue that you're training in,
Yeah.
really.
Because you guys train, it's a very open warehouse, but I mean, it doesn't
It's
take you long to
lovely
get
and
warmed up
warm.
when you
No,
when you're
absolutely
doing it.
not.
But
We're lucky where it's placed. I mean, it's a relatively new unit.
Yeah.
It's not a very old one, so it's insulated really well. Because we can afford to cover all of the ground. It's either covered in turf or it's covered in rubber black mats. So the concrete is not exposed, so that's not able to give out cold air
Yeah.
because it can't absorb the
Yeah,
cold. I mean, it's insulated at the ground. And we're surrounded by Cav aerospace units, which have got massive machinery
Yeah.
and equipment going on, and they generate quite a lot of heat.
Yeah.
So we kind of collect it all,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's really nice and warm in the winter.
yeah,
I've never had a problem training in the winter in Spartan.
yeah,
But when I used to train elsewhere for event practice, perhaps equipment that Jack didn't have in the gym, I would go somewhere else for it. And typically speaking, strongman training is done in yards and like lockups and shipping containers and stuff. That's where they'll keep all of their equipment. So then you have to do it on tarmac, outside,
Yeah.
exposed to the elements. That's really not very pleasant.
yeah. I think I saw Viscus was like his was under a football stadium or something
Yeah.
like that, and it was
Aye.
all concrete and dark, and it almost looked kind of. I mean, obviously the guy's
It
grown up
kinda
there,
looked- it
so he
kinda
kind of, you
looked
know, it sort of
staged to
worked
me.
there.
I don't
Yeah,
believe
do you
that
not
man.
believe that?
That
Yeah.
man is very wealthy. I don't
He does
believe
because
has
he
to
owns lots of
train there.
gyms, doesn't he? Because he came over and he did a seminar at Performance Fitness in Sunderland, the gym where I go to. So, and yeah, he was talking. He was interested in the equipment, how it was set up. Very much switched on, business mind as well. So it's yeah.
It
You
made a
see
good
something,
video,
it looked
didn't
great.
it?
And yeah, I thought, oh, this would be fantastic to shoot because creative ears just prick up and go, oh,
Aye.
that's brilliant. Let's see if we can go over there and do something like that. But yeah, I mean, these guys obviously he's a professional, so he trains everywhere, different places all the time. I mean, have you met anybody who was inspired you on that level? I know obviously Donna's huge, and you guys in your gym, you're the best at what you do. Is there anybody like you're focusing on now? You go, actually, they're doing everything right. I can see them kind of coming up through the ranks, female wise, even. So because it's all male, you always see the males, but you don't see the females. I know
Yeah.
Donna because of yourself, and I follow her as well as yourself. So it's where
There's
is
loads
everybody?
going on behind
So
the
yeah,
scenes. It's a case of the women's sport is still very young,
like underground kind of thing
yeah.
almost. Yeah,
and it's got a stigma to it because women shouldn't lift heavy weights. We shouldn't be doing things like that. That's a man's sport.
yeah. It gets boring
So
though, doesn't it? When you kind of hear the
ridiculous.
same
You know
thing
what?
over and over again.
It's generally the attitude that comes from people who find it uncomfortable
Yeah,
to be around strong women
Yeah.
and people that possess a greater physical strength and mental strength than they do.
Yeah.
It comes from an underlying, self-esteem issue.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fine, but keep your opinion to yourselves. That's the only problem. But there's a lot going on in the female sport. There's a lot of upcoming athletes. And
anybody exciting at the minute? Anybody that you're kind of keeping your eye on?
Like I've said, I've got a very short attention span.
Okay.
So there's a lot going on Instagram, and I can be a sucker for too much information.
Okay.
And I kind of just
there's a lot of fakery going on though. There's a lot of kind of smoke and mirrors. Like
there's a lot of that as well, and I will be less engaged with somebody that I'm not involved with.
Yeah.
Personally.
Is that because of a professional thing? You don't want to kind of step on toes, or how does that work?
I also know that what you see is not reality a lot of the time. You know, this is the time that we live in, and I've done a lot of it myself. I've kind of
this is me shredded for one day of the year.
Yeah,
pre-competition.
I've chosen the right words to put into posts, and lied a little. Not lied so much, just
bent the truth a
bent
little.
the truth, absolutely. It's a game. My competitors are watching what I'm posting.
Yeah.
And I can't give the game away. I can't let them know that I'm struggling with something when I want them to believe or be fearful of me, and vice versa. I can't let them think that I'm really, really confident.
Yeah.
And then they suddenly come along and put a spanner in the works.
Yeah.
Because they've been doing a little bit better than me. So it's a game.
Yeah. Do people do that as well? Do people hunt out? Really? So it's kind of
a lot of them are playing a game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I will only really pay attention to what's going on in my little circle, and I call my little circle toddlers.
Yeah.
They're my athletes, and it's much easier for me to just focus on what they're doing.
Yeah. I suppose it kind of throws your attention off what your aim is and what your goal is as a person as well.
Yeah.
And you've got you'll know what you want to achieve as well. So what is that at the minute? What do you want to achieve at the minute, Jenny? Obviously, you're saying you've got a competition, but you're not doing the heavy kind of competitions. But where do you see yourself now, and what's your goal? What's your aim?
It's a strange one to answer. I don't really know how to answer that.
Do you know? Are you just kind of winging it? Or are you just kind of seeing what happens, sort of thing? Or
I'm less about me at the moment.
Okay.
I think. Career-wise, I want to grow a little bit bigger with regards to my strength athletes. I want to grow that business a little bit more, but intensify it a little bit more. I've got Donna, I've got Sunny from Germany. I've got a new girl from America, Wendy.
Okay.
She's just turned 42, and she is insanely strong.
Really?
And she looks amazing.
Really?
I might just point that out. Yeah. So if you were to look for her,
what's her name?
It'll come to me. It's a weird Instagram handle, so
okay.
it's not her name. But she's called Wendy Sharp.
Okay.
And that'll probably come up. Chloe Brennan from where's she from? Near Tamworth. She's a lightweight girl and a natural athlete, and I'd like to say a lot of girls in strongwoman are natural, but you look at her and you know she is.
Yeah. Well,
and she is insanely strong for somebody that doesn't touch stuff like that.
It kind of has to be in genetics.
Yeah.
Because you've got to be... I think...
You've got to have the right frame of mind, which also comes from...
Yeah. Do you think you can coach the right frame of mind? But if you've got a natural strength, you've got the size, you can put on the weight easy, and you've kind of got the drive. That's probably one of the biggest things.
Yeah,
and then you can work
the
around
key.
the mental capacity of kind of, I can work on that because you've got four elements there, and you just kind of maybe working on there's always weakness. Everybody's got a weakness. So how important is it to kind of, do you help the guys focus on their weaknesses and stuff like that? Is it
physical weaknesses? Absolutely. I can identify that pretty easily.
Okay.
And that's the easy part of my job. But if somebody doesn't have their head screwed on properly, if they're not driven in themselves, I find it, unless I'm working with somebody on a one-to-one basis, if they're there with me, I find it really difficult to get more out of somebody, to motivate somebody. It's a really hard thing to do remotely. You need to be face to face with that person, and even in some cases it's impossible to to get that out of the individual if they're just not that way inclined.
Yeah. I mean, do you choose the person who you train? Do you kind of
in a way
choose them sort
in
of
a
thing?
way,
Is it,
I'm only interested in people that are looking to compete in strongwoman or strongman.
yeah.
It's a man thing. I don't get too many males asking me to coach them
Uh-huh.
because I understand that they have this male ego
Uh-huh.
issue, so that's fine. And
Is
a
that
lot of them don't
frustrating?
like.
Is that frustrating as well, Jenny? Or you just
No,
kind of
you know
no?
what
Well,
was-
I've got enough.
What
I
was
don't need that.
frustrating was working with a man who was a chauvinist and obviously didn't like a female telling him what to do, but
Yeah.
he saw results that I was getting from other athletes around him, female athletes, and he wanted to give it a try, but it didn't work. I'm not the kind of person to bend over, should we say,
Yeah.
and allow you to do whatever you want or dictate. You know, I'm the coach,
Yeah.
so it's kind of
There's an integrity
it's
there.
not a
You've got to stick
it's not
to.
a dictatorship anyway.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah. For me, when you step in the gym, you've got to listen to that person, and that's the whole point in getting somebody
yeah.
who's an expert like yourself
Yeah.
is to just forget about why should you yourself have to think about it. Just let the person tell you what to do, and you do the job at hand, and that's
Yeah.
it. Just treat it like it's a job, it's a task. This person's going to tell us what to do, and I'm going to do it and try and achieve more.
And that works brilliantly.
That's perfect.
It
though.
works brilliantly. My athletes have to have their own voice as well. They have to be comfortable in approaching me and saying, "I don't think this is working."
Yeah.
And then we can take a little look at things and change things accordingly. But
Yeah.
if it was a case of this is what you've got, A, B, C, D,
Yeah.
and he does F, X, M, Z.
Yeah.
Well, that's just keep your money
Yeah.
and write your own shit.
Yeah.
Do your own thing.
Yeah. Because
This is just
yeah.
wasting my time.
I mean, that's one of the main things that I get from you as well, Jenny. It's not just about, taking the money and run, which is a lot of, people do it. It
I would
happens.
have-
People got to earn a living. And I get that. But there's
I
a,
would have dozens of clients if that was the case. Hundreds, perhaps.
Yeah.
I've been approached by tons of people, but I know what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And it's really a case of if there's a space,
yeah.
I've only got 20 spaces. So if a space comes up and you message me at the right time and I look at what you do, it's usually on Instagram that people approach me.
Yeah.
If I like what I see, you'll get a message back.
Yeah.
If I don't have a space and I don't message you back, take that as you like.
Yeah.
Or maybe I just didn't like how you trained and I don't, maybe we wouldn't work together very well.
Yeah. That's the thing with, if they're doing the right things, then you're going to seek them out anyway. You're going to kind of just go, all right, okay, I'm going to keep an eye on them if they're doing the right things, and then they're going to come back to us, and then you can still have a good relationship over. Even if you haven't met somebody, you can still have that relationship. Just that mutual respect thing in the industry. And then when that slot opens up, then they'll fit straight in, and then, you guys can, pick it up and work from there. I mean, I want to go back to yourself training Donna. I mean, how there must be something in you that you're just proud of when you're watching Donna train, because you've been through this journey together, and then you've seen her winning the worlds. I mean, but you've got to keep her up there as well. But it must be a proud moment for you, Johnny. Just
Absolutely. I mean, there was watching Arnold's 2018. I had a few girls competing who I coached, but the winners of the middleweights and the winner of the heavyweights. Bear in mind, I won the middleweight the previous year, and Donna won the heavyweight. It didn't have the same feel. That was amazing to achieve that, and to achieve it with Donna, and I was insanely proud of her achievement and being able to do that together. But then watching the live stream of Sonny winning the middleweights and Donna winning the heavyweights, it was just amazing. Once again,
it
was incredible.
Around you,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you sat at home and you watched this live event. Okay.
I'm a very quiet person in my house, but my neighbours knew I was happy about something.
So how many cats have you got now anyway, Jenny? Because I know you're a cat lover. I've got a cat
That's
myself.
not a
So
good
yeah,
question,
we go.
Dan.
Yeah.
I had three.
Yeah.
I had three. I got a
Okay.
kitten not too long ago, and I
Okay.
had to let him go on Friday.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, he had an incurable disease called
Okay.
feline infectious
Yeah, yeah.
peritonitis,
Okay.
and it took him.
Yeah. So you've got two now?
Two, yeah,
Yeah.
two random black and white moggies. Back to the original two.
Yeah.
I think they're relatively happy that Eddie's moved on.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
didn't like him too much.
Yeah. So have you always, is it the kind of thing you've always had, sort of thing, or
No, not
you've
at
never
all.
had as a kid or whatever? What's
Exactly
this kind of,
that, yeah.
So you
We
want a
had-
cat?
We had a rabbit
Okay.
when we were kids, me
Yeah.
and my sister. And I say we, my dad had the rabbit basically because Lizzie brought it home and poor dad had to look after it because she soon lost interest.
Yeah.
But we adored this little thing, and then when he passed, bless him, dad was just beside himself because he's a big soft twat like me and my sister. You know, if we could decide, if we could choose to spend the rest of our lives with a bunch of animals or a bunch of humans, it would be the fuzzy things, not the bald things. We never got animals after that. I think I had a goldfish or two that I won at Yarm Fair, and maybe a couple of Russian hamsters that last about 9 months, maybe less if Jenny has to look after them because I'm not very good at looking after things.
Yeah.
Cats are good though because they look after themselves.
They
But
kind of are. You just let them get on
they're
with it.
just so interesting. I always loved. It's just the fact that you have to work for their attention and their respect.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like walking up to a dog. You walk up to a dog in the street, either you're going to get your hand bitten off or you're going to get licked to death. And it's mostly getting licked to death, isn't it?
You hear the same thing from dog lovers. They hate cats because they've always had a thing where cats attack them at some point in time. But everywhere we kind of, it's strange because everywhere we've been to, we've been on farms, we've been everywhere. I could pull up in a car park, pop the boot, and a cat will just wander over.
Aye.
Both me and my assistant Adam, and we kind of, because we both like cats, and it's just a bizarre thing. They kind of
When they actually
gravitate
approach
to
you.
people who like cats.
Because
it's
you
a
know the
strange
right
one.
way to behave around them. A dog person will walk straight up to the cat and stick their hand in its face. But if a stranger walked straight up to you and stuck their hand in your face, what are you going to do? You're going to protect yourself and you're going to shy away from it. And that's pretty much what a cat's doing. And quite a lot of dogs with social issues and anxiety, they'll do exactly the same. But for some reason, cats get this stigma, just like strong women. I think that's why. That's why we kind of work well together.
Yeah.
Me and cats.
Yeah. Because you want your own space, don't you? And obviously, I'm getting a sense of when you're at home, that's you. It's your time.
Yeah.
You
I'm very much shut the door, and the world is behind it or outside of it. Yeah, I like
Have
to.
you always been like that, Jenny? Is this kind of is there a
I
pattern in
guess.
it? When you were a kid, you like your own space, you do the thing, and then you get out, or have you had any kind
I
of?
guess.
You know,
I've always had a large group of friends, but I've only really had a very small collection of
you can
close
count
friends.
on one hand, sort of thing. Yeah.
And I guess I do tire very easily of being surrounded by too many people.
Yeah.
Always when I was a kid, it was my best friend Amanya. I would stick by her. There'd be our other friends as well, but it would be mainly her. And if there were too many other people, I'd kind of, you know, you tire easily of that. But I could spend my whole life with that one person and never get bored of her. But what can you do?
You still friends to this day?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I think you kind of carry that over. This is always a bond, and you know, like me and Ross, who we filmed yourself with. I've known Ross since school, and we've just carried on that relationship. We've had fights, we've had arguments, we've butted heads, we've kind of fallen out. But it's always been that mutual thing. You'll always come back to each other because you can talk around it. But it's that kind of you just get
bond
each
you
other.
Make when you're young.
It's the
you
bond
know, it's
and
not
the interest.
It's not the same, is it?
Because you'll have
You'll have gone through quite a lot of stuff together, and it's growing up together that really kind of glues you together.
Yeah. So what's your interests outside of the gym, Jenny? Because obviously I know everyone just talks about gym and this is what you do and all that kind of thing. You must be, yeah, there must be something outside the gym you
I'd
enjoy.
love to say that there was something really different and quirky about me. Maybe I really
Got any
like
hobbies? You collect
flower
things?
arranging and
Apart from,
and knitting.
Oh my
Maybe
God.
I'm obsessed with knitting. But
Yeah,
gym,
yeah,
I work in the gym. I train in the gym.
okay.
I've got friends that the only reason I'm friends with them is
Mhm.
because I met them in the sport or met them in the gym.
Mhm.
I like music. I'm very much a music fan.
What are you into at the minute? I know you obviously you like some
My
rock
genre
metal
kind
thing.
of
I know
just
it's
collects
yeah,
around rock
yeah,
and subgenres that
yeah,
kind of stem off that.
yeah.
If I was going to choose one, it would be classic rock.
Mhm.
If I could listen to anything for the rest of my life, it would
Yeah.
probably be that because there's such a diverse arrangement of sounds, and that's where everything's kind of stemmed from as well.
Yeah,
Everything's
yeah.
kind of they were such and such was inspired by whoever in the 70s.
So when did you get into that kind of thing? Because apparently it's when you're in your teenage years. That's when that music taste
I think
sticks and
it's always your
carries on.
parents that dictate. I believe, or it
Okay.
did with me.
So it was
your
around the
parents'
house.
taste,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what did your dad listen to? Your mum or?
The only thing that I could really tell you that my dad used to listen to, because the cassette would be on repeat
Yeah.
over and over again. Anytime I got in the car with my dad, it was Queen's Greatest Hits Volume 1.
Yeah, yeah.
So I know every single track,
Yeah.
every single lyric. As soon as one track finishes, I'm expecting to hear the next one in line from it. Do you ever get that
You
when
sing the
you've
song
listened
before
to
it starts, yeah.
Aye.
Well, it's funny because you want to push away from what your parents like, and we were in the car,
I
and it
don't
was.
think so. The older I get, the more I want to root through their music collection.
That's the thing. I hated it as a kid. I was like
nah.
Fleetwood Mac, and it was Queen, it was ABBA, and actually Earth, Wind and Fire. There was a lot of, and I'm like, but now if you put them on, I'll know all the words to the song because I've sat in that car for years and years and years, driving down the motorway, going on holiday,
Driven insane
listen
by this.
the whole thing.
Aye.
But now I love that music. So I've kind of through my adulthood, and then I started flicking through the tapes when, I was about 17, 18. Oh, bit of Bob Dylan.
Aye.
Let's have a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Earth, Wind and Fire, still love them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's that kind of thing. So you kind of hate it because you want to rebel, but then
And
you'll
you've
kind
kind
of come
of got
back
to
to
go
it.
through a certain stage where you're in with what's cool at the moment, and
Yeah, but I suppose you went
Fleetwood Mac maybe when you were a kid wasn't it's
probably
not
not.
what teenagers
Yeah.
are listening to right now.
But I mean, I wasn't listening to anything anybody was
No.
listening to. I was like, I had an undercut shaved head, and I had Metallica badges down my jacket and my lapels, and the all of that kind of thing. So
Aye.
and everyone else is listening to the Stone Roses and the Charlatans wearing acid house hoodies and all that kind of thing. So I was completely opposite of that. How about yourself, Jenny? I'm guessing it was a similar
situation,
Okay.
but
Did
in
you
the
rebel against the
noughties,
norm, or did you kind of
I was
Like-
really. It started with punk rock, like
Kylie
Blink
Minogue,
182
right?
and
Yeah.
Sum 41
Okay.
and stuff,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
it
okay?
as I got older, the heavier it got,
Yeah,
and the more aggressive I got, I suppose.
yeah. Did you kind of did it lessen did the aggressiveness lessen of the music, or do you keep that the go-to tracks for the gym? Have you got
certainly it gets worse the older that I get.
Really?
I'm more
Okay.
accepting of really, really black metal.
yeah?
Okay. But then I'm a lot more accepting of ridiculous stuff as well.
Yeah.
Like at the moment, I really like Leo Sayer,
Yeah,
which doesn't really.
that's the
They
thing.
don't really go.
Yeah, because I
but-
don't want to put you in a box going, oh, you like this music, but the heart and soul is that, and then obviously you'll have little branches going off because, yeah, we all have different things to match the mood
Aye.
that you're in, and that's why you listen to it.
I
But
think
I
if
think
you're a true music fan,
yeah,
you don't fit in a box.
No.
You can't be put in one specific box.
no,
Because you like sound.
Yeah.
You like composed music.
Yeah.
Not
it's such an important thing. I think music throughout your whole life, it's such an important thing because obviously you'll hear a song and it'll
you can relate
just
it to
throw
a
you
part
back
of
to
your
that
life, yeah.
memory and that point in time where you were like,
you can
oh,
relate
yeah,
it
yeah,
to a person that you
Yeah.
perhaps haven't thought about for a
Yeah,
long
yeah,
time.
yeah.
It's weird.
yeah,
It's
but
weird
it's-
how it captures you,
yeah.
but it's magnificent.
Yeah,
as well.
it's an important thing, isn't it?
Aye,
Yeah. So, yeah,
believe.
excellent. Okay, Jenny, thanks for joining us for the first one.
You're welcome. Thanks for
No,
inviting
it's
me.
been good, brilliant. Speak to you soon anyway.
Yep.
Thank you.